Hello guys, welcome to another episode of xah Talk Show. We are going to do emacs lisp coding today. Emacs lisp coding. So I'm going to do a live coding of emacs lisp of a HTML command, and I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna talk about xah-html mod. Then the main thing is that we are going to modify this command. So there's something I need to do. So while I'm coding it, I'm gonna teach you some emacs lisp tutorial. So if you are here, if you are new, say hi and ask me questions, okay? So let's begin. Let me double check my video check, audio check one last time. Video check, audio check. That's good. Okay, so emacs lisp code. So let me demonstrate this. So you are looking at my HTML source code for this page, xah Talk Show, today's talk show. So the command we are going to work on is this one, xah-html-pre-code-to-new-file. So let me demonstrate what that means, okay? So for example, I'm going to, for just like org-mod, if you have used org-mod before, okay, so let me show you, okay? Xah org-mod tutorial. So you can find my org-mod tutorial, closure mod, xah org-mod tutorial. Okay, search for it. Yeah, okay, so it's not showing up on the first result. Okay, xah org-mod tutorial. Let's hope that shows. Okay, it didn't find it, but let's just go to xah emacs tutorial, then you will find it. So xah emacs tutorial, let's turn on JavaScript. So I have a tutorial on org-mod, so you just go to emacs, click on that, and the org-mod tutorial is somewhere here. So shell, view special file, editing brackets, org-mod. There it is, org-mod tutorial. So there are actually several pages about it. So org-mod is fantastic. You know, I don't use it because I've been coding HTML since 25 years ago. So for me, coding HTML with my customized xah-html mod is much more efficient and flexible than org-mod. So in fact, what I'm going to show you is one of the features in org-mod that is also in xah-html mod. So for example, in org-mod, parsing org-mod, customization, org-mod for to-do, source code markup. Yeah. So in org-mod, as you know, you can mark up programming language source code. You know, you can include emacs lisp code, Python code, Ruby code, Golang code, or any number of programming language code, and this is how you do it. So you have a shortcut key to do it and to insert this markup, and then you can type or insert, you know, code, and then you can run the code, you know. So org-mod has this kind of feature that allows you to embed code in it and also run code in your notes. Kind of like a Wolfram research notebook, like like poor man's notebook. Anyway, so let me show you org-mod. So org-mod, so you have these features, right? Now if you don't know, you know, look it up. So check out my website. So okay, let's copy it here, and okay, so that's called org-mod Babel. Okay, this feature was called Babel because originally it was a separate, you know, org-mod extension written by this guy, written by Eric Short. Okay, so then, but now after a few years, it become part of org-mod. So it's, you know, it supports many languages: C, C++, D, R, Awk, Closure, CSS, emacs lisp, eShell, Fortran, Haskell, and so on, JavaScript, and so on. So let me show you that feature in xah-html mod. Okay, so let's say I want to start a JavaScript source code. So I press a key which calls the command xah insert pre-tag. Okay, so let me show you again. Cancel. You see, xah insert pre tag. Okay, so anyway, let me do it. Press the key, then select a language, JS for JavaScript. Okay, so you can see I got a JavaScript markup there. So I can say console log and 3. That will just print 3. Let's say just 3 plus 4. So that's JavaScript code. Now if I let's use console. Okay, now I can pop up this source code into a dedicated buffer. So I just press a key, so you see it creates a buffer with JavaScript mod. I'm using let's see, you see I'm using xah JavaScript mod. I have my own mod for most languages I code. So but for you it can become the standard JavaScript mod in Emacs. So anyway, so I press the key, then this markup pops out. You can see, then becomes a new buffer. So I can actually run this code. I press a key to run this code. You can see the result is 3. Okay, so you can see the command I called is, for example, xah run current file and xah-html-pre-code-to-new-file. That's a command that pops out the code into this new buffer. So let's run some command. So console log, let's say magnify 3 plus 4. Okay, run it. Okay, you can see it's 7. Okay, now I'm done. Let's say I'm done with the code. I want to move them back to the HTML. So I press a key, then you can see I'm back in my HTML file and show in browser. There it is. That's a JavaScript code. So that's a feature in xah-html mod similar to the org babel feature. Okay, so that is the demonstration of that, and let me show you. So let me show you xah-html mod. You have to pay me. Okay, so it's open source, but you pay me to get it. Okay, so I call describe key, then I press the key to activate xah-html mod, so that which is this key. Okay, so you can see the documentation for xah-html mod pops up. It's this one. So you can see, you have many commands to deal with HTML tags and so on. 30 commands or so. Then I go to there's a URL. So that's my website. So open that. Press enter to open that. So this is xah-html mod, and I did several video talks about it. You can watch it and learn what is the feature. If you like it, I've been for the past 2 years, 2 or more. My YouTube is using xah-html mod. Pay me and get it. Okay, so on this home page I show several features. Okay, so we demonstrated one of the feature, which is the embedding source code of programming languages. And let's show in browser again. You can see we can also press a key to syntax color this one. So for example, I press a key. Okay, so you can see it adds span tag function name. So now if you refresh in browser, you can see certain words are colored, including strings and so on. Okay, so now here is any comments? BLZ, hello. BLZ, hello from Brazil. Hello to Brazil. So now we have demonstrated this command, xah-html-pre-code-to-new-file. And now comes to the part where I want to modify the code. Let me tell you what needs to be done. So for example, so here is a JavaScript code. Let's show the pink window. JavaScript code. I press a key, it pops out. So I can let's have some let's code something. So constant x equals to array 3, 4, 5. Okay, then let's just say print x. So you can see different colors. Okay, run it. So you can see array. Now let's say the array, the first element, index 0. Print it. You can see the result is 3. Okay, so and now I press a key to move them back to the HTML file, show in browser. You can see it's here, and I press a key to color it, go back to browser, refresh, you can see it's colored. Okay, but now here's what I want to do. Now let's pop out this source code. Okay, press a key, pops them out. How does it work? You see, where does this buffer, where is this new buffer? You see, so if you go to diode, jump to diode, this is a very convenient command that will jump to the directory, emacs directory feature directory, where this current buffer file is at. So I press a key to jump to it. You can see this is the file. Okay, and it's in the directory of XAH Talk Show, which is the directory, of this page. So you can see here's a file. Now let's magnify. Okay, now let's hide those details. So here's a file, and the problem is the file is kind of too long. So you look at the file name. So you see the file name embeds information. It embeds the information where this source code is originally, which HTML file is this temporary source code from. So you see that's the XAH Talk Show. So that is a file. So if we go back to, this file, and then you jump diode, you see that's a file. You see, so this temporary JavaScript file embeds the information about where it came from, the original HTML file, and then kind of a date time stamp, so that makes sure the file name will be unique. Now the problem is the file is kind of too long. Sometimes it's a long file is no good. That's one of the issue. File name too long. Okay. The other issue is okay. So let's write out the problem. File name too long, and the other issue is that not desirable. It's not desirable to have a temp file. Basically you are littering temp file all over the place, all over your directory. Like wherever your current HTML file is, it'll create a temp file there. You see, now let's go to the file. Now let's move them back to HTML. Okay, do it. Okay, it's back to HTML. Now if you go to the directory and refresh, okay, it's deleted. Right, so so that's good, but still, it may not be desirable. Okay, let me write out the reason. May not be desirable to litter temp files all over directory. So in other words, it's possibly better to create this temp file in a designated directory for temp files. Okay, so we are going to do that. So first of all, name too long, we need to fix, then and then create a temp file in some directory instead of the current directory. So we updated, problem file name too long. Okay, so add a break. So that is what we are going to fix now. Okay, now we already talked for 20 minutes, so let me do it quickly. Hey Real Tito, hey, hello Brazil friends. So now we are going to modify the code. Okay, so let's jump to the code. Okay, so this is the code. This is the command name. Describe function. Okay, copy describe function, paste. So here's a documentation for this function. xah-html-pre-code-to-new-file is an interactive Lisp closure Lisp function in xah-html-mod.el. Okay, it's bound to the key, so that's the key I press. And this is documentation. This is a Lisp syntax, and here is what it does: create a new file in current directory with content from current pre-element. Okay, then for example, and so on. So now I can just press tab to jump to the link. So we jump to directly to the source code of this command. We are about to modify it. Okay. So we're gonna modify this code. Okay, so first of all, copy the code, create a new buffer, paste it, and save it. Okay, because we are going to work on this with a new file. So put a date. So kind of so we create a temp file to work on this code. So now remember, the thing we need to fix is make it use a temp file of a designated directory. Okay. Now if you have questions, just ask me. Okay. Make this into a temp file of a designated directory. Okay. Okay. Now we start to code. Now this is gonna be a lot thinking. I try not to be stuck too much, but that's the nature of coding. You have to actually, fairly complex. Okay, so this code is 50 lines, about 40 lines, minus the comment, 40 lines. So instead of creating a file in the current directory, you want to create a file in a temp directory. So first of all, which temp directory do we want it to be? So that's the first question. Which temp should it be? Okay. Now normally, now let's go to my emacs init. Okay. So you can see this is my emacs init file. Let's dire jump again. Let's dire jump to the file location. Here it is, and here is the directory. My home directory .emacs.e. So one of the possible fixed temp directory is in the emacs directory. So for example, I can just create a directory named temp. Okay, for example here. So I can say my command should use this as a temp directory. So let's copy that. Okay, close that. So possibilities. Okay, one of them is just whatever emacs your emacs init file is at. That's the other possibility is in each operating system you have designated temp directory. For example, in Unix it's /tmp, I believe, in the root directory /tmp. In Mac it's somewhere else. Okay, in Mac it's in the user directory I believe /applications /libraries or something. And on Windows, there's also a temp directory, so we can look at that. So let's go to temp directory. So let's see. So we are looking at the C directory, and where is the temp directory? Okay, it's not in the it's in your personal directory. Okay, so it's not here. So on Windows, it's at. Let me show you. Okay. So go to my Emacs app data. You go to app data. God, Windows is fairly confusing. Let's see local. Temp, there it is. That's one of them. So on Windows, the operating system wide designated temporary directory is, at least one of them is, app data local in temp in your home directory. So you can see we have lots of temp files here, a bunch of garbage. So let's close that. So the question is, where do we I forgot, where is it? Okay, so the other option is let's just say, so one of the option is .emacs temp. The other option is, let's go back to it again. App data local temp. Okay, copy the directory, close, then we can paste it here. There, and delete that. So here are the two possible locations for temporary file. Which one should it be? So let me tell you my experience. So this is a software, if you are a software engineer, if you are a coder, you're writing software, this is one of the decisions you have to make. So in my personal experience of coding in the past 30 years, I think the answer is that there is no absolute answer. So the question is whether you should use the application-specific temp directory. For example, Emacs. Emacs is kind of a well-known application, and for Emacs, you have a designated config file, directory for your config files and stuff. Or you can use operating system-wide designated temp directory. On Mac, on Windows, on Unix, each one is different, but they have a fixed temp directory. So which one should you use? So in my personal experience, there's no one correct answer. So either way you can do it. So in our case, I think I'm going to go with the Emacs, the application designated directory. So first of all, so we have to define a var. Okay, define var temp. Let's say xah temp the path. Okay, so we have to define this variable and optional initial value. Okay, so let's say neo. Okay, and docstring temp used by xah commands, xah packages. Okay, so here's the documentation for this path, and we need to set it. So let's set it. So where do we want it? So well, we can we decided it's gonna be this. Okay, and instead of using the abbrev, let's use the full. Well, let's use abbrev, but the tilde, the tilde symbol in Emacs expands to the home directory. So on my machine, my username is xah, so the tilde expands to the C drive user xah. Okay, normally you should use full path, but in Emacs, this is the tilde is widely accepted. It's no problem. But if you are coding, for example, in Python, in Ruby, in Golang, then you better not use that. But in Emacs, it's accepted. Okay, so I'm giving you some kind of tips from experience. So we want the temp directory. So actually, the temp directory is not created. So you have to write code to make sure it's created. And also the Emacs init file is not always that. So there's a variable in Emacs that specifies where is your Emacs init file directory. So we want to use that variable because not everyone is using the .emacs.d, especially on Windows. And also even on Linux, there's many different conventions. Over the past 30 years, it changes every 7 or 10 years. So in fact, right now in Linux, the latest convention is not .emacs.d. Instead, it's something else. I have a blog about that. So anyway, so right now we want to find a variable, the Emacs variable that specifies where your config directory path is. Okay, so let's try to do that. So in order to do that, let's go to xah Emacs tutorial. So because I have info there, that's the easiest way for me to find it. So Emacs tutorial, then you go to where to download Emacs on Windows. Okay, so wait, okay, so you go back to Emacs tutorial, then you go to Emacs init. So this is all about Emacs init setup. Then you click on Emacs init file. Then you can see the different conventions for the init file location, and the current one is home directory.config/.config. That's the current latest convention since Emacs 27, about 2 years ago. So you know, I'm still using the previous convention starting in 2010, you know, .emacs.d. Okay, so but we want to know the variable here. So user Emacs directory. So this is a variable that whose value is a file path to your Emacs directory. So let's try it. Okay, paste the variable name, and now let's call describe variable, and you can see the documentation. So yeah, so user Emacs directory is a variable defined in this file, and its value is you know, tilde/.emacs.d. Okay, so this is a variable we want. So wait, let's see. Yeah, so the file path would be, you need to join string. Okay, so join string, how do you join string? Concatenate. Okay, so in Emacs the join string function is concat. Okay, so you want this variable first, then you want to say temp. Okay, temp is the directory. Okay, then you need to check if that exists. Okay, so delete that actually, so we can just put it here. Okay, so that is wait, hold on, before we do that, let's put it here. Okay, so this code sets the temp directory, but now we need to check if that directory exists, because if it does not, we need to create it. Okay, so file exists p. Okay, expand, so that's a command. Check if that exists. Okay, now we need to do a if statement. If the file exists, then do nothing. Okay, nil. Otherwise, we need to create it. So let's make the I forgot what's the command to create directory. Okay, so the easiest way again is for me to look up my Emacs tutorial. So you go to practical Emacs Lisp, then there is a page about directories and file path. Okay, there, file and directory path. Click on that. Okay, file exists, rename file, copy file, delete file, set file mods, directory files, make directory. That is the command we want. Yeah, there it is, make directory. Okay, so md expand to make directory. Okay, that's the syntax. So we want to make a directory, and we want to, yeah, so we want to make this directory. So, and parents, optional parents, we don't care. I don't think so. let's look up the documentation for make directory describe function. Okay, in fact, we can see it right here in my website. So make directory, create a directory the, and optionally any non-existent parent directories. Oh, okay, that's very convenient. If the already exists as a directory, signal an error unless parent is nil. Yeah, okay, so I don't care. Okay, so we make directory, then we give a full path. That should be good. Actually, a better way is actually, look, the better way is like that. Okay, here is the better way. Yeah, so you want to make a directory named temp, and the parent directory should be whatever emacs user directory. Okay, so whether should we use that or that? Actually, let's use the first one, because the first one is more explicit. What we are making directory for? We are making a directory for the xah-temp path. Okay, so predefine the code. So there it is, making a directory. Now let me give you another tip about Emacs Lisp coding. Typically, when you have an if statement, and if one of the clause is nil, by Emacs convention, you usually say when instead. So we can do it this way. Okay, when not directory, when the directory does not exist, then there. Okay, then you make the directory. So these two blocks of code are doing exactly the same thing. So but by the Emacs kind of style guide, usually this one is preferred. Okay, so let's use this one. So here we make sure we create the directory. Let's write the documentation. Create the if not exist. Okay, now we make sure the directory exists. Now what's the next step? So this command will be creating a file. Okay, so let's go to it. Let's see somewhere it creates a file. So pre-begin, P1 is position, buffer position 1, the beginning of the source code. P2 is the end of source code position. Language code is what language it is, JavaScript or PowerShell or Bash or whatnot. Text content is the actual source code. Okay, actual source code we are grabbing. File, any comments, questions? Fantastic, Cortez. Thank you so much, Cortez. Cortez is my loyal sponsor. Okay, thank you. So there's a question, xah, are you getting the Kinesis Advantage 360? Did you miss my video? Because, oh yeah. Okay, so I got a beta. I was the beta tester of Kinesis Advantage 360. The new keyboard from Kinesis. I talked about many times. I'm not going to do it today. Just search for xah keyboard. So, Kinesis Advantage 360 is a new model that came up. And so I used it for 2 weeks, and it's fantastic. Okay, but they are still beta, so they don't want me to do a review. They don't want me to show it. So that's why I didn't show it. So it's fantastic. So I would recommend. So which one is better? Okay, is it the 360 better or the current Kinesis Advantage 2? Which is what I'm using. This is actually my second one. It's great. Okay, so I would say it depends on you. Okay, I mean, for my experience, it's not one is absolutely better than the other. It depends on you. Okay, so and I don't want to talk too much about it because they are still making it. So until they give me a go, and if they send me a new one when it's out, then I'm gonna do a review. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say for now. Okay, back to Emacs Lisp code. How many people we have? 4 people. Grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Okay, so back to Emacs Lisp code. So here then so we talked about, so then we have file path extension. So for example, for JavaScript that is .js, for Python it's .py, for Golang it's .go, for Wolfram language it's .mb or .wls, Wolfram language script. So that's then you have Java, .java, and so on. So that's file name extension. Temp file name. This part is what we want. You see, very tidy code. You see this. This is why when you write when you code, when you program, it is important to organize your code very well, so that when you need to modify it, to maintain it, like right now we are doing, all we have to do is just change this part. Okay, temp file name. That's all we have to do. So here is how it creates temp file name. You see, XX is just a temporary name. I mean, then 3 variables. So you have the current directory. So this part is the current directory. This part is the file format, basically a timestamp. I mean, not format, yeah, timestamp. So the file name, temp file name is made of XX, starting with XX, then comma, then current directory path, then a timestamp, then the file name extension. You see? So all we have to do is change this part. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it here. Let's make it outstanding. So we're gonna modify here. Okay. So now file name. Now let's go up. Let's see what is our file path. Okay. So basically, the file path should be that. Okay. That's the temp path. Okay. So now all you have to do is change the directory part. So the directory part. Okay, temp file name. Okay, wait. So temp file name, I suppose it will create a file at that path. So now let's paste it here first. Okay. Wait, let's paste it here. So again, we are modifying this code, and this is our new section. So temp file name. Let's check temp file name. Yeah. So you want to go to okay. Let's modify it. Okay. So let's start to modify it. And the creating directory should be the code should be here. Okay, so if the directory does not exist, create a directory. Then now we need to give it a program, which is collection of code. Okay, so the PROGN is kind of the curly braces in C. It just group a bunch of Lisp code. It's very useful and important because the code, because over here, over the let block, basically you have a variable name, then this part needs to be a value. So this part needs to be a value. So basically the last thing we return will be the value, will be this one. Yeah. So first of all, make sure it exists. Then if it exists, we need to create a file name. Okay, so yeah, so this is just the path. You're also missing the file name. So the file name, so we actually need this. So let me show you. Okay, so we need to join string. The first part is the directory. Okay, join string. The first part is the directory. The second part is the file name. Okay, and how do you get the file name? The file name is gonna be here. Okay, so let's do it here. So you can see emacs lisp, the nesting parentheses there. Now it's easier to see. So join string, first of all, the directory. Then we are going to create the file name. So the file name will be named xx. So you don't need the directory part anymore. You just need the So you just need the timestamp. You need the timestamp, and you also need the file name extension. Okay, so let's double check. So x followed by timestamp followed by file name extension. So this part is your short file name. Okay, directory, file name. That should be correct. Okay, that basically this solves the problem. So this part we don't need anymore. So this solves the problem of creating a temp file path. But there is another issue, because now you see before where is the original file name? Let's see. Wait, so hold on a second. Let's go back to the HTML code. Let's try this again. Okay, let's see. You see, this is our JavaScript code. You see the pre-tag. You see, I can remove the pre-tag. You see, undo. Remove the pre-tag, undo. So this is the code. Now let's create it. Let's make it pop it out. So you can see right now it's creating a temp file in the current directory. You can see the current directory, and it's using a file name, and the file name contains the original HTML file path. Now that information is important. You see where the file came from. This information is important because now I can press a key, it'll pop it back to the original HTML file. You see, pop it out. You see, it's pop it out. Now this is how it looks like when it's popped out. It shows you the file path. Now if you pop it back, you see it deletes the file. But the point is that once you pop it out, this source code needs to know where is the original file, and that information is embedded in the file name. Okay, but now since we don't, since we are creating the temp file in a temp directory, there is no such embedded information. So we need a way. We need a way to find where is the original file. Okay, so let's pop it back. Okay, show in browser. Okay, so so we need to find a way to encode where is the original file. Okay, so let's think about. Okay, so I know what to do. So we need to create a new variable. Okay, so let me show you. we're gonna create a new variable, original file path, okay, and the value will be that, okay. File name non-directory buffer file name. So buffer file name returns the file path of the current buffer, okay, the full path. Yeah, so we need the full path. Yeah, so we just need the full path. Forget about the other thing. So now we have the original file path, okay, and now so the problem is we need to store this information somewhere. So original file path, where do you store it? Yeah, so we need another temp file. Yeah, we can do that. You need another temp file. Okay, so let's create another temp directory. Another variable. This variable will be called temp file ID, okay, and that ID will be the timestamp, okay. Let's make sure this is correct. So year, month, date, hour, minute, S, capital S, I believe it's second. So describe function on format time string. Let's see the documentation. And so capital S is the second. Okay, that's we need microseconds too, actually. N is a nanosecond. Let's see what N does. Okay, it's capital N. Let's see what N does. Okay, create a new buffer, magnify. Let's say format string, capital N. I want to know how many digits is that. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's the microseconds. You see, I want to know the microsecond because, right now what we have is just second. But second cannot necessarily guarantee that the file name is unique. But if you use microsecond, that's good enough. Actually, second is pretty good enough because it's rare. It's almost never happens where you pop out a file like within 1 second. You do it twice. It's not likely. So let's just use second. Okay. Let's add some random string. Okay, so let's add some random string. Random pseudo-random integer. So random from limit, let's say 100. Okay. Yeah, let's say 100. Pseudo-random integer. Okay. Then we need to concat this. Okay. So let's work on this. Okay. So we need concat. What is this? Concat timestamp followed by a underscore, let's say, followed by that. Okay, let's prettify the code. So okay, so we have timestamp, then underscore, then just a random number. That will make sure this file name is unique. Okay, that's good enough. So yeah, we don't need this part anymore. Okay, so we got original file path. What time is it? We already did almost an hour now. Okay, so we got original file path, that's the HTML file. We got the temp file ID, okay, that should be unique. Okay, then we want to add it here. Yeah, so here is the temp file ID, right? Okay, and which is part of the temp file name. Cookies or Flamio. So what's up, everyone? Am I doing good? Is the emacs lisp live coding and explanation, are they good? Let me know. Okay, good, say good. If it's no good, it's unclear, say unclear. If it's boring, say boring. Okay, if it's it's on topic, interesting, and you are learning something about coding or emacs lisp, say good. Okay, so we have temp file name. Okay, so let me see it. So we got original file path, temp file ID, temp file name. Okay, temp file name. We need, so this is yeah, okay, so temp file name. Okay, that's all good. Now this code is ready to go, except now we need to create another temp file for the original that contains the original file path. Okay, so let's say temp file name 2. Okay, yeah, so okay, so let's do it here. Temp file name orig. Okay, that means this temp file will contain the original file path. Okay, so let's do it. Temp file original. So, and where it will be located? It will be located something like this. Okay, so let's just copy the code. So the directory is already corrected. We don't need to worry about that. Then concat temp the file path, then the file name. So the file name now will be, you don't need the file extension, you just need text. Okay, and format, yeah, temp file ID dot text. No, let's say dot orig. Okay, let's say dot orig dot text. Okay, so this temp file origin will be a file path, and this file path will be in a temp directory and will be named with temp file ID dot orig dot text, and the content of this file will be that. Okay, so in fact we can actually create a file. So we're gonna create this right away. So how do you create a file of a given file path? That's what we need to do. Create a file with a given file path. Hello guys, great, fantastic, keep it going, fantastic, thank you guys. So now the problem is, how do you create a file of a given file path? Okay, there are many ways. Yeah, there are many ways, but what is the most direct and efficient way? For example, one way is just to create a buffer, then save it. But that may not be so efficient. So let's look at my own tutorial. So here, this one is file file and directory functions. Okay, now we need a, let's see, write file. Okay, write region, write file. Okay, write file, write the buffer content to a file. Okay, create a new file. Yeah, this is probably the best. If you want to create a new file with use with temp file. Okay, so with temp file, file path and body, exactly. That's what we are going to do with temp file. Okay, so we are going to actually create a file. So with temp file. Okay, then the file path will be that. Then the body of the file will be, it will simply contain the original file's file path, that. Wait, does it create a temp new buffer, make it current, evaluate body, and write the buffer to file? Yeah. Existing file at that is overwritten. Yeah, the value returned is the value of the last form in body. Okay, that's what we want to use. You know, simply create a temp file. Okay, now let's shrink. Let's prettify the code. Shrink so you can see the whole. But this part, you know, we cannot do it here because here right now it's the let, you know, the let block. So wait, yeah, so we need to move this line somewhere else. Let's see. Create a temp file. So here is temp file name original. Yeah, okay, let's for simplicity's sake, let's just move the code somewhere. So okay, so now you see, wait, what is this? Okay, let's clean the code. Okay, let's shrink them, so that you can see this whole block, you know, from here to here. That's that's a bunch of variables. And now what follows is the actual code. So somewhere here is creating the file. Okay, so split window below, delete region, go to char, insert temp file name. Yeah, then switch to buffer disable undo. If major mod, set it to the right major mod, JavaScript or Golang or whatever. Insert text content, that's a source code. Then remove the HTML markup, you know, like coloring the functions and so on. And write file. So here is the part. So you write file. Now, if the file is Java, you have to do something special, because for Java, basically you are compiling, you need to compile the file. And for Java, the class name and the file name needs to be identical. So you cannot simply use a random file name. So for Java, it's a special case. But if it's not Java, then simply use temp file name, right? Okay. So write to file. So this part actually, yeah. So we are in a buffer. Then we insert the content, the source code. Then we write to the temp file. Okay. Okay. So now we need another block to write file. Okay. Yeah. Right here. So with temp file name original and original file path. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I think that's it. So, okay, am I doing good? Okay, so now let's evaluate the buffer. Okay, so we created a temp file. Let's evaluate that, show the pink window, evaluate, then also evaluate that. So now describe variable xah-temp, the path, you see, it's right there. That's correct. Okay. Temp used by xah packages. That's right. Let's modify the capitalized T there. Okay. Then eval this function. Okay. Now let's test. What is this? Don't want this anymore. Do you want to save? No. Okay. Now let's go back to a HTML file there. So now if we pop out this JavaScript code, you can see this JavaScript. If we pop it out, we will see the file will be created in a new temp directory, not the current directory. So the current directory is the xah talk show, not here. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, pray to God, cross my heart. Okay, so let's call it. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Wrong type argument, sequence P87. What the fuck? You see, here's the error message. Wrong type argument, sequence. So it requires a sequence, which means a vector or a list or a string. But however, emacs lisp got 87. So apparently we are calling a function that requires a list or vector, but it got 87 instead. So let's see where did we go wrong. Okay, wait. Let's go back to the code. Where did we go wrong? Sequence P, it needs a sequence but got 87 instead. I don't know where, but let's go back. Let's do it again, and let's now turn on. Watch the pink window. Okay, I press 3 keys. Watch the pink window. Doom, doom, doom. So you see, I just turned on toggle debug on error. Now I'm going to call the command again, and if there's an error, it will pop up detailed error messages instead of just wrong type of argument. Okay, so let's call this again. There it is. Okay, expand the window. Okay, wait, expand, magnify. So wrong type argument, sequence, now it got 41. Okay, concact. Okay, the error happened somewhere in concact. So we are concacting what? Char set window. No, that's not good. Char set window. What? So it's, calling this command, xah-pre-code-to-new-file, then a bunch of variables, the local variables. So the error happens somewhere in this local variables block. And it happens with the concact. Let's jump to it. No, you cannot jump to it. Okay, so I know what's going on. So let's go back to concact right here. So let's, we have to think about this. So concact happened where? Oh, concact happened several places. Where did it happen? Let's do it again. Concact timestamp. Oh, then random number. Okay, concact timestamp. So I know where that is. So go back. Yeah, so the problem is here. Oh, okay, I got it. So here you see random function returns a number, but however concact is joining strings. So this random, you need a string instead. you need to convert to string. So okay, let me show you how to modify this. So we're gonna so what we can do is number to string. Okay, that will work. Another way, now this is getting, another way is simpler. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so copy that. So another way is just say format. Okay, format format pretty format, give it two things. Okay, %s, two strings. So the first one is format string. Oh, actually, then underscore. Okay, so this code and this code and this code are effectively identical. Okay, and and usually this one is preferred. It's simpler, shorter, and easier to read. Okay, so let's remove that. So we don't have to call number to string. Like, that's actually less efficient. Another function call. So remove that. Pretty fine. Eval the buffer. Okay, back to HTML. Let's do it. Fantastic. Okay, we got something wrong. So anyway, it kind of worked. So you can see the HTML file, it creates a temp file over here, and the temp file is over here. It worked. So, but however, the temp file name is not what we wanted. You see, it didn't create in the temp directory. Instead of, so we got the directory path kind of wrong. Okay, so open that, delete it, open that. Also, this is wrong. Shit. Delete it. Okay, temp is still empty. Okay, so undo. Undo what? Fuck. No further undo in region. Something is fucked up. I fucked up something. Okay, so save it, close it, just in case we reopen it. Usually when you code emacs, sometimes you want to close a file to get rid of, bunch of local variables. Like restarting emacs. Like if you code a lot emacs lisp, it's very helpful to restart emacs when you after a session, because it clears up all the bunch of local variables, buffer local and complexities. And other times you want to just close the buffer and reopen it. These commands are part of xah-fly keys, so I can just close backtrace, close scratch, close, reopen. It kind of clear all the buffer local variables you might have set. So anyway, so now we go back to the code. We kind of know the problem. The magnify again. So the problem is that when it creates the file, the directory is incorrect. So let's go. Yeah, so we created the temp file. Temp file name. Okay, creator if not exists, concat. Wait, why is it not? Let's describe variable. Oh, you don't have the empty, so here is another tip. In Emacs convention, a directory should always end in a slash. Okay, and let's see, use the Emacs directory, describe variable. Okay, yeah, so in Emacs convention, whenever you have a variable for directory, that should always end in a slash. Now, this convention is very different in Unix and Linux. This is important, because I have, for my years of experience. So, basically in Linux and Unix, whenever you have a variable for directory, usually you don't want it to end in a slash. But in Emacs, Lisp, you do. Okay, so that's a kind of a thing you pick up, because otherwise you're gonna learn it in a hard way. So okay, so now so the temp file name, let's double check. So the temp file, the path, xah-temp, the path, so it's a directory path that's slash then temp. Okay, and evaluate this. Okay, then it's search. So we make sure if it doesn't exist, we create it. Yes, then the temp file name will be the directory path slash. You forgot about the slash. Okay, slash. Wait. Yeah, the path already has a slash. Yeah, now that's good. Okay, eval the buffer. Go back to HTML code, magnify. Okay, now let's do it. Let's make it like that. It's easier. Okay. Fantastic. Did it work well? Yes, it did. So we created our code, temp file directory, this random this timestamp plus a random number, and the file is right here. Go to the directory. There it is, our temp file. Our temp file. And there's something wrong here. You see, here is the original file path. This temp file should contain the original file path, but now it's empty. So we need to insert it. So for now, let's go back to HTML. Undo. Yeah, okay, that's good. Undo. Yeah, something is okay. There's something wrong I need to fix. Okay, delete that. Okay, let's go back to the code. So the problem we need to fix now is, so you created the temp file, that's successful. Yeah, we need to insert original file path in the other temp file. So that would be here with temp file. Let's see, documentation, create a new buffer, evaluate body there. Yeah, so we need to say insert. Okay, insert that. We forgot to say that. Okay, run the code. Run the code. Go to HTML. Close it. Reopen. Magnify. Now let's do it. Okay. Now jump to the directory. Now you can see there it is. This is original file. Open it. It contains the original HTML file path. Fantastic. Oops. Okay, so fantastic. Okay, so that is almost done. That is almost done for today's function. We already did 90 minutes, 80 minutes. Okay, this is not complete yet, because now you cannot pop up. You see, normally I can press a key to pop out, pop back this code into the HTML, but now it doesn't work, because before it relies on the file name that has the embedded original file path, but now it's in a different name. So So the command to pop this back into the HTML is this, okay? It's this one, xah-html-pre-code back. So we need to modify that command. So we can actually jump to the source code, open it. So you can see here's the code. So okay, so I have two choices: either stop it for today or continue with this one. So which one should I do? I'm thinking of stopping now because it's 80 minutes already. Hey, I came late. What are we working on? You came late. We are about done. So two choices. Either I start to code this, or that's it for today. Because we did a lot already today, and as far as this function is concerned, it's done. It's job done. So in fact, let's move it back to xah-html mod. Okay, so let's move back to HTML mod. Okay, first of all, copy that. Okay, wait. Cut, delete, back to HTML, back to Xah's talk show. So we did the code. Let's put it here somewhere. So start a new code. Let's show the pink window. So you can see all my commands and keystrokes, Vora keyboard and Xah flag keys. Okay. Now create a new code. Emacs lisp, yes. Paste the code. Show in browser. So you can see this is the code we did today. What? Yeah. So this, this is the code. This is the code we did today. But however, it's not rendered correctly in HTML because we have HTML tags here. So what we need to do is we need to call syntax code. God. And God, this is an issue. Yeah, whenever you have that, it's a problem. Okay, I can explain them, but because what's happening here, it's not rendered correctly, is because the source code actually contains HTML tags. So HTML got confused. So what you need to do is actually you need to encode this HTML tags. So one easy way is that, okay, but then you refresh. Now you can see it's better, but then it happens somewhere else. So yeah, so this is becoming kind of tedious because the Lisp code, this is okay. Let me say something that's more constructive and useful. Okay, now whenever you have recursion, typically it's a problem. Like right now, this problem occurs is because you have HTML file, HTML source code that contains the source code of another language, emacs lisp. And this emacs lisp source code contains source code of HTML. So this is typically a very nasty problem, happens everywhere. For example, when you are in Emacs, when you are writing some command that calls shell, and you need to pass the string, let's say you need to pass the regular expression. In string, you have lots of escape. So when you pass to shell, you have to deal with those escapes. So basically, you have to encode a code. That's the problem. You have to encode a code, sometimes several levels. So right now, for example, in order to solve this problem, we have to encode the HTML, which is, for example, escape this angle brackets by ampersand, less than, and so on, entities, HTML. So you have to encode them. And normally I can press a key, it will encode the whole, it doesn't even work now. It will encode the whole source code. Like, let me shrink so you can see. You see, normally I can press a key, it will encode all HTML, angle brackets, do it one shot. But I cannot do it now, because when I call the command, first of all, it'll try to find, they'll try to find the beginning of the pre, class, some language. It'll try to find that. Then it will try to find the end of the pre, you see. But however, the problem is the pre, those beginning and end, that happens inside the code. It happens here, right here, for example. It happens here. And it also kind of happens there. You see that pre. And it also happens, do we have an end pre? Maybe not. Okay. So the point is, you are encoding some code inside another, nested recursive encode. That's a problem. If the languages are all different, for example, if I'm in HTML and this is emacs Lisp, which is entirely different, but however, I'm not dealing with HTML code, then no problem. But however, when you have a nested encoding, it creates a very nasty problem that is almost impossible to solve programmatically. Okay, so that's kind of a useful tip. But anyway, so what are we doing now? So anyway, we finished coding this. So for the rest of the problem, I'm gonna do it offline. Okay. And what else? Yeah, so it's now a 90 minutes talk show. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye. So now I'm gonna shut down. I'm gonna copy my code to part of xah-html mod. Okay. Wait. Okay, so here is my xah-html mod. So here is the code, pre-code back. Okay, not pre-code back. Yeah, so we're gonna replace this function. This is the old version. Cut it out. New buffer. Save it, xx date, function name, underscore old.el. Okay, save it for backup. Close that. Now the new one is here. So let's copy it, cut it, paste it. Okay, so let's shrink it. So we have so this is the code we did today. And let's clean up. We don't need this commented out thing. Clean up. Okay, and add version date, add today's date. It's kind of modification date. So remove the previous one. Okay, so you can see this is what we did today. Okay, and we also created two temp path, and this delete, we don't need that. Okay, and make a backup. So this is go to all the way to the top. This is xah-html mod. If you like it, pay me. Okay, buy it. Now add today's date, timestamp, version number change 18.8 to 18.9. Okay, and make backup again. And let's jump to so let's go to eShell, then git status. Okay, I made changes. So let's say git add xah-html. Okay, then git commit, then now uses a tempter. Okay, so this is a message, the changes to that command, that's a change. Git commit. Fantastic. Now you are looking at this directory, this xah emacs. So this is kind of my xah emacs, and this contains all my packages, HTML, emacs, lisp, and so on. So close that, close that, close that. So we wrote this new function. Fantastic. So it uses a designated tempter. Okay, now close that, close that. Okay, so let's remove that and clean up, open this JavaScript. Okay, the pop back doesn't work. So in that case, cut it, delete the file, paste it here. Okay, and color it and show in browser. Okay, that is xah. That is today's xah talk show. Bye.